Hello! If you're watching this video, you either have a Wooting 1 keyboard or are planning on buying it. If you don't want to watch the entire video, my word of advice is to just go and buy it because it is hands down a very solid keyboard and very good for its price point. For the build, it's a quick, simple, lightweight build with metal in the front as a plate and plastic on the back. But in the meantime, let's get started with the keycaps and keys themselves. In the box, you receive an orange keycap puller that has the functionality to pull the keys out too. If you want to pull a key out, first take the keycap out, push down until you hear it click, and then pull. If you want to take the keys themselves out, flip to the other side, make sure the two hinges are aligned, squeeze, and pull. Putting it in is even easier than taking it out. Make sure it's oriented correctly with the words facing the bottom, align it, and push. For the keycaps, align it and push. Here is a closer look at the Flare Tech keys. These keys are not digital keys, meaning that they don't relay digital signals for your input, but rather optical signals such as light. Taking a look at the caps themselves are ABS plastic, and the symbols on them actually are lasered in, meaning that over time they won't wear and tear, they won't fall off. I actually took the time to take out all the keys and keycaps to show you the different stages of what the keyboard can look like. The LEDs themselves are blinding without the keycaps on, which is pretty reasonable. With that being said, let's move on to the cable systems. This keyboard comes with a detachable cable, which is a really big plus. To plug it in, you simply take the micro USB in, which is also conveniently gold plated, which I think assists in the speed transfers, not sure. But you plug it in to the back, and after you do that, you can take the braided cable and route it however you like, through the front, or through the left, or through the right. Another thing that's pretty obvious about this keyboard is that there are feet. These feet are used to elevate and angle the keyboard to make it easier to type on. Now, what makes this keyboard special is that the feet themselves actually have rubber tips, which so few keyboards on the market have nowadays. So if I were to actually take this keyboard, flip it around, put it on the table, even if I tried, I cannot move the keyboard at all. Now, also included with the keyboard are 4 separate switches, 2 of which will match the switches on your type of keyboard, and the other 2 are the opposite types of switches. For me, I ordered a keyboard with linear red switches, meaning that they don't make a sound, so for the other 2 switches I got, they were the blue clicky types. These are how they sound. Now, you also get the orange keycap puller that was mentioned earlier, but besides that, there are replacement screws that you can use if some screws that are holding the front metal plate of your keyboard come off. Now, aside from the spectacular hardware of the keyboard, the software is actually where it gets interesting. Right here is the digital profile page on the Wooting software. More specifically, the color settings. As you can see, the keyboard and each key themselves have a preset color. If I were, for example, want to change one color of one key, I would first go down and select whatever color I thought I wanted to put that key as. For example, in this case, I would select pink. You can also change the different shades of whatever color you do. You can change the RGB values, each ranging from 0 to 255. And once you're satisfied with your color, all you have to do is click the letter or the key. Now, moving into more detail, if you do not want to customize your keycaps, if you do not want to use the default preset, there are other options you can choose from. If you look down, there is an RGB FX or animation center. If you want to display the customized keycaps and the customized colors, you would select no FX. Otherwise, there are other animations like, for example, the wave, Now for every animation, you can also adjust the speed or the brightness, or the direction, or specifically for the wave, you can change the color themes. And there are also other animations like the scan, or breathe, or cycle, or ripple, which is touch activated, or any of the others, because I'm sort of getting tired of going down this tedious list. But feel free to check it out once you get the product itself. They're all worth it. Now, going to the digital settings page, you are greeted by global keyboard settings, which you can customize or keybind it to any key you wish. For mode key, you can select which key that is, the FN key, which FN key. For analog 1, 2, and 3, you can choose which combination of keys you need to press to access analog profile 1, 2, and 3, which we will get to later. Now, moving under this section that says digital settings, the first thing that you will see is a switch called Tachyon mode. I'm not too sure if that's how you pronounce it. There might be a Japanese pronunciation that I'm missing, but I'm trying my best. Anyways, if you do activate Tachyon mode, what happens is it will limit your actuation point so that you can't change it, and it will also limit your ability to change the RGB values on your keys. Now what you get in return is a 1 millisecond response time. Tachyon mode is really only available on optical keys because optical keys do not have that debounce effect that non-optical keys have. Anyways, you can obviously change the actuation point. If I were to put it all the way to 3.6, that means I would need to press every key all the way down. Moving on to the analog profiles, the first thing that you see in each profile is the color page. This is exactly the same as the color page we worked with in the digital profile. In case that you're wondering why it's all red, that's just the default preset. Moving on to analog or digital settings, again, sorry, not analog, this works the same way. Digital keys is just if you want this analog profile to be a digital one versus the analog one. It's a little bit confusing, but eventually you'll get the hang of it. This is where it gets interesting. Just like a gaming console or a gaming controller, you can program each key on this keyboard to represent one movement on that controller. Gaming controllers often have analog inputs, which is what makes this keyboard so effective at replicating them. For example, in Super Smash Bros., there are certain moves that are activated based on how far you push a joystick, up, down, left, or right. While you can't replicate that in regular keyboards because it's only limited to did you press this key down or did you leave it up, in this keyboard you can replicate it because depending on how far you push that button down, that translates to how far you push a joystick up, down, left, or right. Moving on to the next page, you're greeted with an analog curve. Here you can fully customize how the sensitivities of your keys actually are read by the computers. You can customize it by yourself or simply choose a preset that they have provided for you. Now, the DKS bindings and settings aren't actually released on the software update yet, but once they are, I will update the comment sections below and instruct you guys on how to use it. But in the end, I hope that video helped you guys decide whether or not you want this keyboard. If you want my advice, it would be to definitely get this keyboard because it's honestly one of the best keyboards for its price point. But thank you for watching. I tried to make this video short, so hopefully it didn't take up too much of your time.